afternoon, this is David Wendell with BushcraftOnFire, and we're pleased to be with you for another video. While we were gone up to Pennsylvania, we got some snow, and Tam will get a shot out here. There's not very much left, but what we wanted to do was to give you an idea of how to make a snow shelter. We thought we'd take advantage of the little bit that we did have and see what we could do for you. Now, a traditional snow shelter is a Quinzee. A Quinzee is just a mound of snow that you would go and dig out. Well, we don't have enough to do that here, honestly. We'd have to have a huge pile. And while we have a little bit of snow that we gathered up here, we don't have enough to make a Quinzee. So what I decided to do was make a modified snow fort. All right, well, what we've done now, I'm rolling some snowballs. Basically, kind of like Frosty. We call this our Frosty shelter, I guess. Remember when you were a kid, you rolled big snowballs and made a snowman. And what I'm doing is rolling those snowballs. Now, you know, in the bush, this is an easier way to do it anyway, because you don't have to shovel the snow. You see, all right, what I've done is I've rolled a couple more snowballs into here. And just make big snowballs like you're making a snowman. You remember when you were a kid and you made a snowman or a snow fort, you rolled the big balls and put them together. Now all I have with me is this little shovel. This is a pretty neat little shovel. It comes from Frost CPR. Corey over at Frost CPR sent this to me to test out. But you can see it would take me forever to shovel a lot of snow with this. So if I roll that, the snow picks itself up and packs itself out, and that makes it a lot easier. So let me get one more snowball here, put in here, and then I'll show you how we're going. Alright, so what I've done is I've packed these snowballs in and just making my snow fort now. Still a little wobbly at this moment. That's okay, we're going to fix that in a few minutes. But you can see it's about level, tall enough for me to crawl in there, and this is going to be a modified snow fort. One of the things that's important when you're working with snow is you need to turn your snow. As you turn it, it gets air in between the snow molecules, and that makes it pack better. If you've ever made snowballs, that's a good way to make snowballs. You got to turn that snow, especially if it's soft. So as we rolled these snowballs, made that snow hard. Now we've got a pile of snow over here. I'll show you that pile. And that still isn't enough to make a Quinzee, but it'll help us to make this snow fort. So let's go get some snow and put on here. All right, you can see we've got a pretty big pile of snow here. And what I've done is I've let this set up. And I'm just coming back in with some of this snow, and I'm mashing it in to the outsides. That's going to hold all that in place for me. So we'll get some of this. Alright, so I'm just packing this snow in everywhere I see a hole, because I want this to be solid. Once I'm done, I'm going to run my hand over it and glaze it all down. Something like that. Make it nice and flat. We got that snow's packed nice and tight now, so I'm going to finish doing this and we'll be back with you. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm just finishing this top and just leveling this off, and you'll see the reason for that in just a minute. Packing into these holes as I level off, that'll give me a good flat surface. One thing I want you to notice is that this whole thing's about a foot and a half, almost 2 foot wide. So it's a good width to keep any air out. And that's one of the things these snow forts do, you know. They keep the air out for you so that wind chill doesn't crush you. We were sitting outside yesterday, it was about 2 degrees. We were actually pretty warm because there was no wind. Up in Indianapolis it was 17. We had about a 25-mile-an-hour wind. Thought we were going to freeze. So we're going to keep going here, get this all packed in and show you the finished product in just a minute. have a tarp with me, so I'm packing the back end of that tarp for right now, making like a ridge that goes over the tarp, stretch out pretty tight. And inside you can see that I've still got my tarp on the ground. If Tam can get down in here. So I kind of folded that over. That's going to give me something to sleep on as well as be covered. I can pull this face down in once that I get in there. And this is just an 8x10 tarp. So that's going to be plenty of room inside that shelter to stay warm. Again, if we got a lot of snow, that shelter probably wouldn't last, but we're not expecting snow. We're just expecting cold weather. The wind is coming straight out of the northwest right now, so you can see how that's going to block all that wind. Holding up there pretty good. So I'm going to finish putting the snow on the edges of the tarp, and that'll give us everything we need to get back with you. Well, there we go. We've got a modified snow fort, kind of a modified Quinzee actually, with the tarp for the top. And again, you can see I've got plenty of room to get in there. In fact, let me go ahead and climb in there and show you. I took the ground down to no snow before I get in there, and that's certainly deep enough to lay in. I'm going to wrap this tarp up on the other side so the snow's not right against me. And you can see also that I've got the reflective side in, which is going to give me a little bit more reflection of my body heat off of there. So let me get in this thing, be right back with you. I'm going to straighten it out in there. Well, here we are inside our shelter, and I'll show you in a few minutes. So I can close this down, stay nice and warm for the evening. No wind on me whatsoever. You can hear the wind blowing out there probably in the camera. And I'm pretty warm actually. Get my sleeping bag in here, or some kind of a blanket, and I'm going to have a good night's sleep. Keeps the wind off me, keeps me warm. One thing I should say about working in the cold weather in the snow, make sure that you're wearing layers and don't get too hot while you're working. If you do get too hot, you're going to sweat, and then your sweat will turn to ice inside of you and keep you real cold. This is David Wendell with Bushcraft on Fire. Hope that you've enjoyed this video on a modified Quinzee or a snow fort shelter. Have a great day. Join us again for another video. I'm going to close up and take a nap.